You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
We played Rogers the Ganges.
Yeah.
This is a dice game. It is a dice rolling game, though. So surprised that Rob wanted to play it. It's kind of, you kind of use your dice as workers, and the different worker placement spaces have requirements. Like it has to be exactly this number or somewhere between this range. But in addition to that, it's also a tile placement game. Think kind of almost like Carcassonne, where you're trying to have roads go from one place to another, and whenever you connect certain things, you get bonuses. But also, depending on how you built your engine of different types of buildings, whenever you place tiles with those buildings, you get different numbers of victory points. Also, the tiles that you lay have resources on them that you can trade, and if you monopolize or diversify, you can trade for more money. It's a game where there's no set turn timer or set score that you have to get to. You have fame and you have income, and they move around the track in opposite directions, and you win whenever they meet up together. This was one that I'd played a couple. I own it, but I think I've only played it twice before. So I was glad to get it to the table again. And Rob blew me out of the water. He did really, really well on the first day and destroyed me. And it was kind of payback for Red Cathedral, I think.
I think so. Yeah, I was a little pissed about Red Cathedral, so I had to get back at you.
So yeah, I think I would probably give this about an 8. It's pretty good. I like playing it, and I suggest people to play it fairly often at home. It doesn't get to the table as much as I would like. Like I said, it's only been a couple plays, but I'd like to play it more.
Do you remember which publisher version you have, Mitch?
I think it was Hutch is the one we played at the retreat. I recognize that on the box there.
Designers are Inca and Marcus Brand.
There you go. Yep. And Carlos hasn't played it, so you have no opinion on this one. I
give it a 10 because it has dice.
There you go. I was going to say, I give it a strong recommendation to Carlos specifically. I think you would rate this one pretty high. You can see here the one of the things I wasn't so sure about with this game, and there have been other games that I'll remain nameless for the moment, maybe, that have done this with a sideboard that I haven't liked so much, that have distracted me from the main game. And so I was a little worried that there's a sideboard.
Tapestry.
You got it. There's a sideboard in this one that I was worried that it might distract me from what was going on, because as you can see here in these pictures, there's a lot going on this board. There's a lot of different areas, and I know, again, slow on the uptake. I asked Mitchell probably 15 times. I was like, hold on, what does that section do over there again? And if I go over there, or how do I get another die? And so I had a lot of questions. We were probably halfway through the game. I was still asking questions, but this sideboard is really kind of cool. It's a tile placement. You're placing out into, I guess it's kind of a wilderness. You're developing a wilderness. You're placing out these buildings, and on the main board, there's an action you can do that kind of bumps you up, that as you place these buildings, it gets you more and more victory points. And so you're using some actions on the main board, the shared board, to bump up some qualifiers, some categories, so that when you do this sideboard, it gets you different benefits and different advantages. There's little markets you can go to get money and do different things. But then as you place these little buildings, they have little paths on them, and you have to make the paths match up. And then as you can see here, as you connect to on the exterior border of the sideboard, as you connect to different things, you get different bonuses. Some of them are victory points, some of them are money, some of them are extra dice that you get to roll. You've got this little Tetris-y side game that you're doing. I would not Tetris-y so much, but tile laying sideboard that you're playing, and it really is. I would say it was probably a good 33% of the game. About a third of what I was doing was on my own little sideboard, but then you got all your player interaction on the main board. You're blocking each other out from being able to do things. To even be able to place on this sideboard, you have to place on the main board to do an action, and it gets more expensive the later you get there. So when somebody goes and takes the first spot, I think they do it for the minimal cost or maybe no cost to be able to take a tile and place it, or they just pay the basic fee. The next person who goes there has to pay a little extra silver, and the next person who goes there has to pay more silver. And so there's a race to do all these things. There's this river that runs down the middle of the board that gives you bonuses that you're trying to move along. If you get near the end of the river, you can pick up an extra worker. There's a couple of different spots on the board where you can pick up an extra worker. You do cap out at, was it 5 workers?
5 workers.
5 workers. So you only start with, I believe it's 2. And
you start with 3. You can get 2 of the 3 on the board.
Okay, there's 3 places on the board that if you get to a certain level, you pick up another worker. But if you get 2 of them, you can't ever get that 5th one. Or that 6th one, I guess, basically. So you're picking up 2 of the 3 off the board. But a fun game. I'm going to say, and again, this is one that was on my list for a long time. For years, I've been wanting to play it, and people have kept telling me that I needed to play it. Even with the dice aspect, there are ways to mitigate that. You can change the die numbers. You can re-roll die. So even with the die, I'm going to give this one an 8. I'm going to agree with Mitchell that I think this is a really solid game, and I think Carlos may even rate it higher once he gets a chance to play it. So I'm looking forward to teaching you at some point.
I am an Omni gamer.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy the spread of games from Ameritrash to Euro, and when you can do both together
it does both well. I think.
I don't think you're an Omni gamer, Carlos. I don't think you're an Omni.
I think I'd agree with Mitchell on that. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he tolerates other types of games, but he definitely has a few types of games that he likes. So, yeah. But we're all Omni to some extent. We have to be, right? I mean,
there is, yeah.
I'm not doing what we do.
I'm not going to go full Euro. Like, nobody goes full Euro.
You're resistant. You'll play them though, so that's good.
You never go full Euro.
No, you can't go full on Euro. No. So that's a good one. Rogers of the Ganges. So